Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, coming to you from our studios at the Capital Region International Airport. We're going to run down to Detroit right now, and a good friend of this show, the Honorable Sandy Baruah. He's the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. Sandy, how are you?
Chris, always great to be with you. It's a nice, cold and snowy day today.
Yeah, but
So it's Michigan in the winter. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Actually, it's also Michigan in the spring sometime.
Yeah, it's as long as it's opening day, it's snowing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely. That's how you know for sure. You're right. Hey, listen, just recently had your Detroit Policy Conference. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that, how it came to be and its purpose?
Yeah, so we started the Detroit Policy Conference a dozen years ago, mainly because, as most people know, we do this very large event up on Mackinac Island every year called the Mackinac Policy Conference. And that's really grown to be not just statewide, but almost national. We have over 200 and some odd working media from the national, state, and local levels covering that event. That kind of left room in our programming, if you will, for something more local, something really focused on the Detroit region, primarily the Tri-County area. And so we started it 12 years ago. It has been a success, much more than our wildest dreams. It has really become must-see TV, if you will.
Well, and so that makes sense too for people who sometimes can't get up to the policy conference schedule or whatever. Let's talk a little bit about what comes out of this policy conference.
Yeah, so just like the Mackinac Policy Conference, we use the same production standards, the same kind of standards for speakers. So people are getting the same kind of thought leadership, information, networking opportunities that you get up in Mackinac. But to your point, Chris, you don't have to fly or drive to the island. You don't have to spend all this money to, be there for 3 days, and you don't have to consume inordinate amounts of fudge. So it's a much more user-friendly thing. So this year, our focus was on the innovation economy, particularly our work with the University of Michigan and the other R1 universities in our region, MSU and Wayne State, to build a really robust innovation corridor stretching, to start with, from Ann Arbor to Detroit and kind of the environs around. And then eventually we have eyes to kind of stretch this to Toronto, because the most successful economic regions in the country have something like this, and we need to do something similar.
Well, and you're working with Brittany over there at the University Research Center, so that's a good group too. Let's talk a little bit about how you're dealing with some of the issues that have come up, because not only do you have all these events, more to boot, but we've had some legislation which has really played heck in the business community.
Yeah, at the heart of our organization at the Detroit Regional Chamber, we're a policy organization. Our job is to make sure that we are building a business environment, both at the state level and the regional level, that's conducive for business growth. And so when we hear news about tariffs, that's bad news. That's bad news for Michigan workers. That's bad news for Michigan consumers, and it's certainly bad news for Michigan business. That's going to depress demand, particularly for automobiles. It's going to depress demand and drive up prices for homes, especially of lumber prices. So we've been very, very vocal on issues like that.
For an administration who came in and wanted to quell inflation, I think short term for sure, they're doing exactly the opposite. So let's go to the policy conference, and I know we're still in the planning stages, securing speakers, etc. Let's talk a little bit about that. That thing has been growing and growing and growing in exactly the fashion you want it to grow.
Yeah, Chris, and thank you for that. I mean, really, the team has done such an amazing job making this conference really a national draw. And, we're able to bring in, national speakers with national profiles, but we always ask them to, give us thought leadership that's relevant to Michigan. What we don't do is politicians who are giving a stock speech. We don't do, speakers who are on the speaker circuit to kind of give us their canned speech, right? That's not helpful to Michigan. We're looking to learn something. And then we're always featuring our top level CEOs and our top level political officials, like the governor, like the mayor of Detroit, like senior members of our congressional delegation. So it has really become a labor of love for us.
Well, for us covering it, it is absolutely the one spot in a year that you can go and see a zillion people that it is very difficult to get to anyway.
Yeah, not just the media. In fact, one of the reasons why this has been so successful is our business leaders, our top senior business leaders across the state constantly tell us that they get more work done up on that island at our event than they do at 6 months back in either Grand Rapids, Traverse City, or Detroit.
Well, and some major announcements always take place up there. That's a great format for that sort of thing. And you are always ultra busy up there.
Well, somebody has to straighten the chair.
Okay. Well, give us a call the next time you need help with that, because that's one thing we're good at. Hey, thanks so much for
great to
joining
have
us. Okay. Sandy, thanks so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Sandy Baruah, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm Chris Holman. You've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network.